joins late, they'll be able to watch the recording if they missed the beginning. Hello. All right, so I am Katie. Everybody here knows me, so nothing new. Hope everyone's doing well today. I'm going to be kind of like the chef of today. I have my sous chef Amanda here, who I'll introduce in a second, even though she's your nutritionist, you know her, and Dr. Arkan as well. So this is Dr. Arkan, Krissa. Come into the camera.
Hello, everybody. This is Krissa Arkan. I haven't met you before, but I've heard about you, and I'm also a registered dietitian and the director of this program. First of all, I want to thank you all for participating in the program, because our goal is to give you a lot of good tips, a lot of good recipes that you can use now in your daily lives, but also after the program ends. So we are hoping that it will help you change your lifestyle a little bit, and the recipes that we created, especially the Mediterranean diet, is, like you heard from Amanda, is anti-inflammatory. It helps against chronic diseases, and when we change our lifestyle, then we lose weight at the end. So the focus is to learn tips and information and nutrition information that will help you on your daily lives. So a little bit about me. You probably have detected a little accent. I grew up in Greece, and that's why I'm so partial about the Mediterranean diet, because I grew up with all these recipes at home, and everything we share is really from my childhood, and they are very versatile. So you can mix and match ingredients, and the way we make them, you can make the same recipe just using another protein. So that's why it's very easy, and it allows you to use a lot of vegetables and fruits and protein. So I grew up having olives around, so we were harvesting our own olive oil. So it's very important that you understand that extra virgin olive oil is really, really good for your health. And that's what I think the whole Mediterranean diet is focusing on, this type of fat. So we will talk more about all these things and details. Thank you so much for being here today and for being part of the program. And I'm going to pass it on to Amanda now to talk a little bit about herself and what she's going to be doing here today.
Hey guys, good afternoon. I know many of us have had the fortunate opportunity of getting to meet, so thanks for jumping in and joining us during this demo. And thank you to those who are going to watch this later as a recording. So the recipes that we chose today, like Dr. Arkan was saying, are Mediterranean anti-inflammatory recipes, right? So we're going to want to try to incorporate these into some of our goals that we've been working towards. But just so that we can start the demo, right? I'm going to be jumping in with Katie. I'll be giving some nutrition tips and information as we go. Katie's going to be giving us more of an overview from the culinary standpoint. So if you haven't had a moment yet and you're cooking alongside us today, let's take out the quinoa. We're going to start making the quinoa salad first, and we'll deviate a little bit as the quinoa salad is being prepared to make the yogurt bark. So just trying to have the ingredients out as we begin. And Katie's going to go over the topic of mise en place, which is a French term. And I'm going to give Katie the camera.
Great. Okay. So I'm going to kind of turn my camera down so you guys can see what my station looks like. But essentially, you always want to look at your recipe. I'm kind of like just showing the recording for now. I'm not cutting anything yet.
Okay.
When you are preparing your kitchen, right? Cooking can be a little overwhelming if you're not super comfortable in the kitchen. So we always talk about a method that's called mise en place. It's a French term, and basically it means everything in its place. So you always want to get out all of the ingredients. So if your recipe calls for, you look at the ingredients and you take them all out of your fridge, out of your pantry, because I'm guilty of this. I always buy like scallions, for example. I always forget to use them in my actual recipe because I forgot to take them out of the fridge. So mise en place means everything's out, everything's available. The next step is to have a clean workstation. So you can see my station here is pretty organized. Obviously, we had some time to prepare. Not always does it look like this when I'm rushing home and have to feed the family, but you could get the gist. The biggest tip that I love is my trash bowl. So I always have like an empty bowl on my countertop that I use to throw in the trash. So I like to use scraps. So you can see I already started a trash bowl here. It's really just like herbs, like garlic, whatever this is called, skin, onion ends. And what's cool about this is that you can actually take scraps like this, as long as they're clean, and throw them into a Ziploc bag and actually make your own vegetable stock out of it once the Ziploc bag is full. So if that's something you're interested in, we can always send you the recipe for how to make your own vegetable stock. Honestly, just scraps. You boil them or you put them in your Instant Pot for about 20 minutes and you now have vegetable broth. A little bit of salt, turmeric, etc. So trash bowl, we've got our clean setup here. I also really love this tool here that is called a bench scraper. It looks like this. If you don't have one, that's okay. I got this for about $10, I think, on Amazon. But basically, it allows you to like scoop things and put them into bowls. So, and you can also like crush garlic with it. So if I'm using my bench scraper today, I love it. But if you don't have one, no worries. But these are kind of like Katie's kitchen hacks, essentially. So the first thing we're going to do to start the demo is our quinoa. We actually already made the quinoa. So I want to kind of just show you guys what it looks like when it's done. It looks like this. It's nice and fluffy. As you can see, we can kind of like give it a toss. This is what I want your quinoa to look like when you're done. So, Sandra, did you already make your quinoa or is it in the pot? It's good. So we can skip that step. Beautiful. And it looks like Ray's just watching, right? So you're good. No quinoa today, but maybe later. So I think we can actually skip the quinoa step. But for those at home, just look at the recipe and you can add more or less water depending on how much you like it, but usually a 2-to-1 ratio is good. Amanda's gonna actually talk a little bit about the benefits of quinoa now.
All right, so quinoa, we're giving you a little bit of a preview for next week, which is going to be plant-based eating. Quinoa is awesome in that protein, the building blocks of our proteins are amino acids, right? We'll learn a little bit more about that later. But quinoa is a complete source of protein. So similar to that of like your chicken, your steak, can be treated like that in a meal. Now, quinoa also contains more fiber than brown rice as well. So it's a great source of insoluble fiber, good for our heart health, as well as for our blood sugars and potentially weight alleviation, reducing that inflammation and that waist circumference. Katie's gonna go now into making Greek yogurt bark.
Yep.
This is gonna be a great sweet spot.
Yep. So essentially for the yogurt bark, we can bring the camera back down. We're going to line, if you don't have like a baking dish like this, that's okay. Anything you have at home, like a brownie pan, whatever you have, anything flat with a little bit of a rib. We lined ours with like a little parchment paper so that way it doesn't stick to the bottom. So I'm going to kind of lay that here. And then we are using a 2% Greek yogurt. Usually, Amanda recommends the non-fat for you guys, but we use a 2%. We use this Faye 2% here, just because if you have the non-fat in the freezer, it crystallizes and it's not as creamy like a froyo should be. So that's why we're using 2%. So this recipe calls for 2 cups, right?
Yes.
Can you get me the actual recipe just in case?
Yeah.
So all I'm gonna do is simply just kind of spoon in my yogurt, into my measuring cup. When it comes to bark like this, you can kind of measure with love. That's fine, 2 cups. Because it's not like the ratios really matter too much. So 1 cup, and I'm just gonna put it into my bowl here, just like so. And then I'm going to do it again with another cup. So you just kind of eyeball it in, but about 2 cups. If you're making more, this recipe serves about 4 to 6, but if you're making more, obviously make more, but this should be good. And just kind of lay that in there. So then the next step is that I'm going to get the, what? You can talk.
Benefits of Greek yogurt.
Yeah. So Amanda, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So why don't we
All right,
keep
guys.
going with the recipe and
Yeah.
then we'll talk about everything.
We'll
at
go
the
over
end.
the benefits after.
Yeah.
Let's do that one. So what we said.
Okay. So the next step is to add your sweetener. So obviously plain Greek yogurt doesn't have any sugar, added sugar. So we're going to add a little bit of maple syrup. You can use honey. Amanda will talk about the benefits of, either one. If you're not quite ready for plain Greek yogurt, you could always use a vanilla yogurt here, but we obviously are following the Mediterranean diet with as minimal added sugars as possible. So we're going to start in our maple syrup. We're using 1 tablespoon. So I'm just going to measure it here like this. I don't know if you can see that. Beautiful. I'm just going to pour it on in. And then do we have a little bit of cinnamon today or
Sure.
not?
We have a love cinnamon.
Cinnamon is awesome because it has no sugar, but it gives that sweet flavor. So we love to use cinnamon. This recipe calls for a couple pinches. So I'm just gonna kind of measure it again with love. I love cinnamon, so that is good. And if you were using chocolate chips or something, or you wanted to add to vanilla extract, you could totally do that. But as you can see, I'm just gonna kind of mix it all together really well.
This is also a place that you can add nuts too. If one of your goals is to add more nuts and seeds to your diet.
Yes.
You can add in chia seeds here, ground flax seeds. You want to emphasize ground over whole. Whole, our intestines can't crack open.
Yeah. So then now I'm just going to simply lay this on my dish like so. And we want it to be thin because the idea is that it cracks like a bark would. So if you've ever been to like a fudge shop or something, that bark, that's kind of what we're going for, like a frozen yogurt bark. So that looks good. And then I'm just going to kind of smooth it out. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just kind of lay it on out. And then perfect. And then we're going to add the toppings. So again, you can use whatever toppings you want. This recipe today calls for cherries, dark chocolate, and pecans. We don't have pecans. We're using walnuts, great heart, healthy fat. So whatever you have at home, go for it. So you can see I'm just kind of smoothing it out. I already chopped up my nuts, so I'm going to put them in. As you can see, the mise bowls, little guys here come in handy. So I'm simply just going to kind of sprinkle it on. You can use as much or as little as you want. If you have a nut allergy or not a nut person, obviously skip it. Chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, coconut flakes would be really good on this. Make it your own. Same thing with the chocolate chips. I don't know what the measuring is, but again, I measure with love when it comes to chocolate, not gonna lie. But if you're trying to watch your added sugar, definitely keep it on the lower side. Thank you.
And you can get extra dark chocolate too, if your goal is to try to get more antioxidants into your diet. Above 72% dark is going to have more antioxidants in it. And you can find that typically at Target under their Simply brand, and it'll say exactly 72%.
There you go.
This one is an oatmeal.
Oh.
Oat milk.
Oh, this is oat milk chocolate. So this is pretty fancy.
And for those who are lactose intolerant.
So this one is an, should I show you?
Yeah, sure.
This one is an oatmeal chocolate chips. So if you don't eat dairy, there are a lot of them out there that they are made with other types of beverages or milk too. So you can do that.
And with this sweet spot alternative, right? This Greek yogurt bark, it plays into, if your goal, and all of our goal is to try to pair that protein healthy fat with that carbohydrate, the Greek yogurt is going to be acting as your protein. And then your complex carbohydrate, of course, is going to be your cherries. The rest is just deliciousness on top to add more nutrients to your diet. Like Katie was saying, the nuts are extremely heart healthy, and the cherries can actually be beneficial potentially for athletic performance, but also reducing that inflammation.
And uric acid.
And uric acid, exactly. So if someone has gout or finds that gout is in their family, trying to increase your cherry intake may be helpful at fighting gout.
Mm-hmm. So we added a couple more cherries for Dr. Arkan Chris's request. He loved the cherries.
Yes.
So this is kind of what the final product looks like. Depending on how they freeze, you know, if they're a little too big, you could always chop them up first and then add them. But we're just kind of laying them on like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our lid, or if you don't have a lid, just some aluminum foil, just something just to cover it. And we're going to throw this in the freezer for about 4 hours. You can either take this out a little bit before it's completely frozen and cut it into your servings. Or if you're making it like for, let's say, a barbecue or something like that, leave it in the freezer, let it thaw for a minute or two, and then cut it up if you're going to eat all of it, you know, at that time. You can also like cut it and then put it in a Ziploc bag or container and, you know, take one out. This is perfect for if you're having that craving after dinner and you want a sweet swap, but you don't want to break the bank in terms of calories. This is a perfectly heart healthy Mediterranean diet approved dessert. You're welcome. So this is going in the freezer, and now we're ready to move on to the quinoa salad.
Yes. Yeah. So now give you the pot of the quinoa.
And it is good too, like when you're done with your ingredients, like we're done with the yogurt, so I'm gonna put that back in the fridge. I'm done with the cherries, I'm putting that back in the fridge. Just leave that there.
No,
Yeah,
you're
it's fine.
good.
Yep. So then the next step, again, everybody, like, if, you know, Sandy is cooking, so she's gonna be the one who is mostly I'm speaking to, but you wanna make sure all your vegetables are prepped and ready to go, like washed and ready. So you can see we have our nice colorful bell peppers here. We have our onions, garlic, etc. It's okay, I'm good. I'll let you know. So the first step is going to be knife skills. I want you guys to make sure you know how to properly handle a knife, especially if you're at home and you're cooking, you're alone. Worst thing you can do is cut yourself, and you know, we don't want that.
And the most unsafe knife is a dull knife.
Right. So you want to always make sure your knife is super sharp. So this is my nice Farberware knife here. Got it from Target for like $25, if that. So when you hold the knife, you always want to, the best way to do it, everyone's a little different, but you're going to take your 3 fingers like an okay sign. You're going to hold the tip of the knife like so, and then you're going to wrap your fingers around it just like this. So you have a nice hold. And I see Donna's messaging, so I just want to see if something's going on. Amanda, can you check? Or Donna, just speak into the microphone and let us know what's going on.
No, she's just giving everyone information.
Oh no, I saw something else. I think she messaged me, but we'll turn this other camera on just in case there's another visual. Donna, you good? Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. So I'm holding the knife like this. The next step is you want to always hold your knife in like a rocking motion. So it can get really tiresome if you're just constantly like chopping like this. So I'm gonna kind of move my camera back to here so you can see.
And when Katie's chopping, notice that most of the force comes from her elbow and not her wrist.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of hold it up here, but if you can see me in the other camera, I'm basically going down and forward, up and back. So I'm going like this in a rocking motion, and we'll show you how to chop the different vegetables in a second. So it's down and forward, up and back. I'm not going like this. I'm going down and forward, up and back in a nice, smooth rocking sensation. So I think the first thing that we can do is the onion. I feel like that's like a fan favorite. So onion here, this recipe calls for red onion. So if you have GERD and onions are not a friend, a trick to like decrease some of the acid and heartburn that it causes is actually to cook it. So if you like onion, but you don't want to have it raw in your salad, just saute all the vegetables. Same with the bell peppers. I wouldn't saute the cucumbers, but you could sub out maybe zucchini and put it in this salad, and that would be really good. So if you're a GERD person and onions give you trouble, either omit it or cook it first. So we've got our onion here. You always want to keep the root on because this is going to be your anchor. She's grabbing something, so I just want to make sure she can see. But so what I'm going to do is cut down the middle. I'm keeping my root tip. I don't know if you can see. There we go. Root tip is going to stay on. I'm cutting directly through the root, but I'm leaving it intact. So I'm not cutting this way. I'm cutting straight through. So I'm just going to go like this. This knife is not as sharp as I thought it was. That's okay. All righty. And you can see, yeah, let's switch. We're switching for a sharper knife. I'm fine. So you can see we have our half here, and all these little scraps and stuff, I'm just going to throw them into my trash bowl. You know, all the onion skins, garlic skins, these little hairs, like they really don't add much, but they definitely are fine for scraps for your vegetable stock in the future. So the next step is to get this extra layer of skin off. Usually it peels pretty easily, but if not, you can always trim a tiny bit of the end. And then you're just going to toss it into your trash bowl like so. So I'm peeling the onion off, just off the top, get that like skin part off, right? And you can do that with the other side as well. So I'm just going to chop off that side, throw this in my scrap bowl, take my skin off the top like so. So then the next step is to make dices. So in the back part of that cooking ingredients, I showed you a couple different knife cuts. Today we're dicing. We'll show you how to mince the garlic, but we're just going to dice the onion. So you can make it as big or as small as you want. I'm not a huge fan of like big chunks of onion, but we'll do like a medium dice. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you're using the tip of your knife. You're going to get as close to the root as you can, but not through the root, because the root's is what's going to keep it all together. So I'm going to I'll hold my hand that's not cutting. I keep it clawed. because if you can't see my fingers, then they can't be cut. So you always want to keep it like this rather than keeping your fingers here. You're at risk of cutting yourself. So I'm going to keep this hand clawed. I'm taking the tip of my knife and I'm going through to the root, but not through the root. And I'm just going down like so. I'm making little slits from root to the where the onion ends. Just like this, nothing crazy, just keeping it simple. Trying to keep all the cuts around the same size, right? This looks maybe like 1/2 inch. And I get a little lazy with this part and I kind of like use my other hand and just kind of go like that. So then once you have your slits, we're going to turn it so that the slits are like perpendicular to you. So you can see this is my person. I'm here. And we're going to take the knife the halfway like this. And we're going to cup it. And we're going to make slices the other way. Same, like it perpendicular from the slits that we just did. So I'm cutting here, 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 and here. So you can see I'm just going to go like this. Here. Again, like that. And so forth. Okay. So we've got slits going this way, slits going this way. Cool. Now you can see it's already kind of starting to fall apart. This is when the magic happens. So you can kind of like move in a little bit so you can see, but literally I'm just going to chop through in my forward rocking motion and look, perfectly diced onions, all pretty much the same size. You can go as close to the root as you want. If it starts to get a little tricky, like here, usually if I'm really trying to use all of the onion, I'll slice it down this way and do a little cut. This goes in my trash bowl. We've got nice, beautiful onion slices. I'll do the other half, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And this is all going to go into whatever bowl you're going to use for your salad. So I'm just going to use my bench scraper, but if you're not, you can use your hands, or honestly, you can just pick up the cutting board and just kind of throw it into the salad bowl. So you can see like this, I got my bench scraper. If you are using your knife, I usually tell people use the dull side of your knife if you're going to scrape, so that you don't dull your blade. You don't want to use your knife as a tool really for anything other than cooking. If you have to, use the dull side so that you don't dull your blade and hurt yourself. So onions are good. I'm going to do the other half. If you have a chunk that doesn't all the way cut through, you might have to like give it a little love, but we're good there. And also like wash your hands if you haven't, you know, that's always a good place to start when you're in the kitchen. I didn't say that, but I should have. So we already took the skin off. So I'm going to do the same thing for this onion. Beautiful.
And also, like Katie was saying, with preventing the dullness of the knife.
Speak louder.
Oh, I hope everyone can hear me. So like Katie was saying, to prevent dullness of your knives, when you go to wash your knife today after our demo, make sure you try to wash it by hand versus putting it in the dishwasher, because that can also dull it.
True. Yeah.
But the onion is extremely anti-inflammatory. It contains allium, which gives it its anti-inflammatory benefits, as well as just a great way to flavor your dish. And another vegetable to go incorporating as part of that eat the rainbow concept, so that you get all these different phytonutrients into your diet.
Okay, so the next step is going to be the garlic. So the garlic recipe, it called for a whole bowl. That's a lot of garlic. If you want to go cheat style, you can totally buy the minced garlic. It's not going to be as anti-inflammatory. Anytime you're having like a fresh garlic bulb, it's going to be super potent with a lot of antioxidants like the allium that the onions have. It's a natural antimicrobial as well, but Amanda can talk to you a little bit more about garlic while I'm chopping it. But I like to use my bench scraper to crush the garlic. If you don't have one, you can use your knife. Just be very, very careful. You can use a dull cutting board, anything else. Also, if your cutting board's a little slippery, you can put a wet paper towel underneath your cutting board and it'll keep it from sliding. So I'm going to keep my knife blade out of the way. I'm going to take my bench scraper, but if you're using your knife, go for it. And, you know, we got some Italians here today, so we love garlic. So we're just going to crush, use the palm of your, the bottom of your palm. Like, oh, I don't know where the camera is, right here. I'm just kind of going like that and crushing it. All right. So I'm just going to crush, let it go, crush. And if you crush it enough, it'll honestly all like pretty much break open, but we'll see. Yes, you can see this guy, all the skin kind of just fell right off, which is perfect. That's exactly what we're going for. This guy didn't crush as much, so I got to go a little harder the next time. So
And by cracking
Boom.
it and exposing the garlic to the air and removing the skins, you're creating a more anti-inflammatory effect with the garlic itself as the compounds are exposed to oxygen. Garlic also is, like all the foods we're adding today, is anti-inflammatory. It may be beneficial for preventing risk for various cancers, but also, especially combined with olive oil, is great for heart health. May be beneficial for lowering cholesterol, but especially lowering blood pressure for those who are concerned about heart health risk or looking to target those lab values and vitals.
Yep. So what I'm doing is something called a mince, where basically I'm just going to take the crushed garlic and I'm going to do similar slices that I did like the onion, just making tiny little slits. You don't have to go all the way through, but you can. And then you're going to kind of turn it, and then you're going to keep your knife tip down, and you're just going to chop all the way. And then once we kind of have them all like in like a thick chop, we're going to do something that's called mincing or milling, where we're going to just take our hand, we're going to put it on the top of the knife and literally just go to town. It's honestly very stress relieving just to chop up a bunch of garlic. Sandra's laughing. She's like, hell yeah. So this is what I really enjoy doing. And then this is where my bench scraper really comes in handy, because you can take it and scoot off the excess off your knife. I don't really like the feeling of like garlic on my hands. Stainless steel does remove like a garlic odor. So if you have like a stainless steel, like little soap bar, they sell them at the store like this, you can kind of rub your hands and it'll take the garlic oils out of your fingers. That's kind of cool. Stony Brook Hospital has a rooftop garden. And when I was an intern there, I had to pretty much harvest all of the garlic. And I smelled like garlic for about 2 days. And I went to work. I used to work at Sur La Table that I taught cooking classes. So that's why I am teaching today. And the chef was like, girl, get your stainless steel on. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a life changer. So if you're not a huge fan of smelling like garlic, stainless steel is good. So we're just going to throw that in.
Put this under.
And
Yeah, that would be great.
Tidbit about garlic, especially all of us are concerned about immune health. It's a great immune boosting herb as well. And also what's cool about it is many major civilizations like the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Chinese utilize garlic for medicinal purposes as well.
Cool. So the next step is our peppers. Everybody has a different way of cutting peppers. This is my way of cutting peppers. So if it has the stem, I'm just going to remove the stem, because you always want to make sure you're cutting on a flat surface. Flat surfaces is a safe surface. So now my surface is flat. So now I'm going to take my bell pepper like this. You got the little booty of the pepper is face up, right? And then you're going to kind of cut away from the inner stem. So all you're going to do is kind of just take your knife and just kind of give it a little hug around the edges, just like so. So now you've got these beautiful edges without that inner skin that's not as, flavorful or really edible as much.
And
so you can see, honestly, we just have the skeleton right here. I'm going to throw this in my trash bowl, and then we're going to move on to how we're actually going to dice. So if you wanted to do like what's called a matchstick cut, where it's just like thin little slices, these are good for like fajita peppers, for example. You would just take it and give it like a nice little slit like this. The way I do it, I don't know if this is the right way, when I'm chopping bell peppers, I kind of try and do like 4 matchsticks in a row, and then I turn it, and then I do my down and forward, up and back motion to give these beautiful little all evenly sized dices. So I'm going to do that for the rest of the bell pepper while Amanda shares information on why bell peppers are healthy for you.
So bell peppers, they contain more vitamin C than an orange. Also, why I like bell peppers, there's a range of different colors, so it helps to contribute adding a bit more color to your plate. If you like your peppers more bitter, go towards green. Red is going to be the sweetest on the spectrum. And you can incorporate these even as a snack. So like Katie had shown you guys the matchstick cut, incorporating that as your complex carb to pair with your hummus, which would also have, of course, chickpeas, which we're going to utilize today, and olive oil to make a paired anti-inflammatory snack as well. I'm going to turn the camera back at Katie as well.
So I'm just adding in you can see like I got my salad bowl here. I'm just going through and chopping the rest of my bell peppers. If you're ahead of me, let me know, but I'm just going to kind of wrap this up. And then the next step would be the parsley. I already chopped my parsley. If you can buy your parsley already chopped as well. But we keep ours in the fridge so that it lasts longer, and fresh herbs are awesome. You could use really any herbs for this salad. We like parsley because of the color.
Yeah. And parsley is rich in folate for those trying to up their B vitamin status to protect your heart, or if you found that you were low from your blood work, that adding some parsley into your menu can be helpful. Also with parsley, it's good for fresh breath. So same with basil, if you have a plant in the garden, especially now that we're all starting to garden soon, you can literally grab one of the leaves and nosh on it, or throw it into your salad, and it helps with keeping fresh breath throughout the day.
Yep. So I'm just throwing in my beautiful red and orange bell peppers, and it's going pretty well. If anybody has questions, definitely feel free to chime in. All we have to do, honestly, is throw together the rest of these salad ingredients and let it all kind of soak in for about 10 minutes. And that's going to be a perfect time to prepare the protein of the day today, which is salmon.
And how Katie is preparing her bell peppers now, I know for some of us, our goals were meal preparation. So something that could be helpful is in the future, like when you go grocery shopping and you pick out some bell peppers, is to maybe chop them into the matchsticks and then store them in a Ziploc container or a glass container in the refrigerator, so that when you go to cook this recipe, later in the week, say, you can already have it mostly prepped through.
Yeah, because the chopping honestly is the brunt of the work today, and we wanted to choose a dish that had a lot of different cuts. You can see I'm getting a little lazy, like with my sizing. We're not cooking the bell peppers today, so the size doesn't really matter as much. But if you're stressed for time, buying either pre-cut is honestly an okay option. But if you can, when you get home, wash them, cut them into the matchsticks, and then if you want to have them as a snack, they're there. If you're having like a boredom eating going on, vegetables are not the worst to choose. So that's a great tip that Amanda gave. So I'm actually done with my bell peppers. I'm going to move on to cucumber next, just so that all like the big veggies are out of the way. Then we'll do the parsley, then we'll throw it all together. So with the cucumbers, we have a peeler somewhere here today. I think it's right here. So this is my vegetable peeler. And since you guys are actually attending the demo today, does Sandra have the same one? I don't know. She gave a face. Oh,
no.
If you don't have a vegetable peeler, you're actually getting one today as an incentive of watching the recording live. So we'll be giving you guys one of these at your next visit. If you don't have a vegetable peeler, no worries. Peeling your cucumber is subjective. You can leave the skin on. If you want to, you can use your knife to kind of peel away. It's a little bit more dangerous, but peeling your cucumber is subjective. I think it's really pretty to do like the strips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my cucumber at its base. You always want to strip away from yourself. So I'm going to take it. I'm just going to strip. And then I'm going to do like a little space in between. And then I'm going to strip again. So you can kind of see it makes like a really cool pattern when we do it all the way around. But there's benefits to cucumber skin. Just wash it. And I believe this is an English cucumber today. So it doesn't have like that major waxiness to it that other cucumbers have. So just kind of be on the lookout, choose what works best for you. But again, no big deal either way. It's really honestly up to the person. I'm not going to use the scraps of my cucumber for my scrap bowl if I was going to make a vegetable stock, because cucumber is more of a watery, yes, Sandra, the skin is nutritious. I don't know how late that comment was. But it does have like more of a watery vegetable. So it's not going to go as well with my stock. So I'm going to actually just throw this in the garbage. But if you wanted to, if you're not making a stock, just throw it in your trash bowl. So now that we have the little beautiful cuts, again, we need to make it a flat surface. So I'm going to trim the ends like so. And this recipe, I believe, calls for them to be chopped up. So like not in like the slivers, right? I think it's like more like cubes. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to cut it like this first so that it's in a flat surface. I know how to cut it.
Oh, so you prevent it from rolling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you have a flat surface, it's not going to roll. If I'm like, don't have a flat surface, I'm more at a risk of cutting myself. So next up, I'm going to kind of just cut it again. Honestly, at this point, you can make it as small or as big as you want. Then you have your flat surface, cut it in half. You have another flat surface, cut it maybe into sizes like this. and then do a nice dice. I'm gonna do like bigger chunks because I like cucumber. So I'm making my chunks about this size. You can make them as big or as small as you want. We're using the whole cucumber today, but if you're not a huge cucumber person, you can leave it out. I really like the English cucumber because the seeds aren't as chunky. I think this is honestly seedless. So I'm not a huge cucumber seed person. So that's why I chose this. But again, cucumbers are really subjective. My father-in-law has a garden in his backyard and he like makes a ton of cucumbers every year. And my fiance will eat them just like as a snack raw. And I'm not that into it like that, but you know, if you are, that's again, just like the bell peppers, it's a great snack.
And some of the benefits of the cucumber is that, of course, like Katie was saying, it's rich in water. So for us, it helps with hydration benefits, especially for, you know, optimizing our skin health, right? Being hydrated helps our skin. But then it's also going to be high in vitamin A, vitamin K, and lignans. Vitamin A is good for our eyesight. Vitamin K can be beneficial, of course, for our bone health.
It's also estrogen.
Oh, so so then with that,
Estrogen.
yeah, so with it being estrogen, it's good for your heart health and protecting your heart, especially for us ladies as our estrogen decreases.
Estrogen. Anti-inflammatory, like.
It's good for your skin.
Good for your skin.
Okay, so look at this beautiful salad we have. So the next step is your parsley. So if you could just hand me what the parsley looks like. Since I already chopped up my parsley, I believe the recipe calls for what, like 1/3 cup or a whole bunch. This is a lot of parsley. We're not chopping this whole thing. So we did like, I took out like about a handful. If you store your parsley in a glass container, like a cup or a mason jar with a little bit of water, this will keep it fresher longer. If you put a little like Ziploc bag, like loosely over the top, it almost acts like a little greenhouse to keep it nice and fresh. So I love that Krista keeps hers like this. This is how I do it at home. So I'm going to show you a little bit how to chop the parsley. You can use the stems or you can use the leaves. The stem has nutrition benefits too. If you don't want to use the stem, it's a great, oh, I'm off camera. It's a great way to put into your stock. So I'm going to throw this into my trash bowl and I'm really making a good vegetable broth at this point. So in order to cut your parsley, honestly, you do the same milling kind of action where I'm just going to kind of like finely chop it. You can make it as small or as large as you want. If you're not really into like the chopping of the parsley, because it is like a little messy, you can even just take sprigs of it and kind of just garnish your dish. That's what we're going to do for the salmon dish. So I already have some of my parsley. I'm going to put it all into my bowl here. And I'm just going to take like about almost all of this and kind of just sprinkle it into my salad.
Also with parsley too, if you don't have enough to go, you know, putting as like the mini greenhouse effect that Katie was mentioning in the refrigerator, you can also, as a quick meal preparation hack, is take an ice cube tray and put some of your extra virgin olive oil. Now, let me flip it actually. Okay. So what you can do is take that ice cube tray, put a little bit of that extra virgin olive oil in each of the little segmented blocks, and put in different herbs that you want to try to use. You can label it or just say, okay, the left side is parsley with olive oil, the right side is oregano. Me personally, when I do it, I like to have a whole culmination of herbs and spices. And then it just helps with the incorporation of more fresh herbs and spices so that what happens is when you have more of those on your palate and in your dish, one is less likely to utilize a salt or say a sugar. Where like Katie had us talking about cinnamon earlier, cinnamon can be beneficial for reducing our blood sugars, especially Ceylon cinnamon as well. And nutmeg, if we don't like cinnamon, is a helpful sugar alternative as an herb. So Katie's got the chickpeas now, and she's going to rinse and drain those chickpeas.
Yeah, so a lot of like a step that people miss a lot is rinsing and straining your chickpeas. It just releases some of the sodium. If you, we're good. If you can buy low sodium chickpeas, that's good. I am sure these are no salt added, so you can see. So all I'm gonna do is, I don't know if you can like turn the camera, but we have our strainer in the sink. So we're just honestly gonna like just pour them over top, like so. And then I just have my sink water here. I'm just gonna give them a quick little rinsey rinse. Give them a little bath, give them a little shake. And then honestly, we're just gonna throw them into our salad just like this. Boom, done, easy. If you wanted to, you could like dry them off a little bit. The salad's gonna have a dressing, so it's okay.
And for every ounce of chickpeas, there's 3 grams of plant-based protein. So notice this salad has no meat in it, no nothing. So just as a little foreshadowing for next week, the chickpeas, of course, along with the quinoa, are great plant-based proteins to go incorporating.
Awesome.
And then
So-
we get fiber.
Yeah, so the next step is to make our dressing. So first I'm going to take my extra virgin olive oil. You guys all have that at home. And I'm going to measure it out. I believe it called, can you just hand me the recipe?
Yeah.
I think it calls for 1/4 cup of the olive oil. Nope, we're on the right page. Oh, but yeah, cool. So I believe it's 1/4 cup, right? Olive oil. 1/4 cup extra virgin olive oil. So this is a big measuring spoon or bowl. Cup.
Where's the lemon juice?
So I'm just gonna put it right here.
Lemons are.
You
So
can
I'm-
use this one.
That's fine. Okay, we'll use that next time. So I'm just gonna pour this into my bowl here. And honestly, if you wanted to save yourself, you could pour it into your measuring bowl and then use this as like your bowl, but that's okay. So then the next step is the lemons. So we're gonna use lemon juice, right? I know. So how much lemon juice does it call for, Amanda?
Excuse me, it calls for 2 lemons.
2 lemons. So this lemon was already cut in half, but just cut your lemon in half first. And then we have a lemon juicer. So you just take it like so, actually flip it so that it is inverted.
You
This is
can
a little
actually,
small.
no, you can actually.
Oh,
open
different
this.
sizes.
They're different sizes.
So if you have a juicer at home, you put the lemon cut actually like face down, and this will be on the outside. And then you just squeeze it. If you don't, roll your lemon first on the countertop to release the juice. And then you can just squeeze it like you would squeeze a lemon. And to get a lot of this out, you can use your fork. So if you don't plan on eating this later or right now, still make the dressing and put it on because it's going to marinate and it's actually going to taste even better later on. So good call with that. This is a great meal prep for like lunches for the week. You could do that. So all you're going to do is put it in and use your muscles and squeeze
Speaking of
all the lemon out.
Lemons contain diasmin, which is an antioxidant used in some drugs that affect the circulatory system, but it also may improve muscle tone as well as chronic inflammation in the blood
on the
vessels.
lemon?
Here we
No,
go.
thank you.
Gotcha. This one has to just get cut.
Oh yeah, we'll use that for the salmon. So if you like lemon, these recipes are for you. If you're not super into lemon, I really love this recipe with like a red wine vinegar or a white wine vinegar or
Champagne vinegar.
balsamic vinegar, honestly, any form of vinegar. If the vinegar gives you the GERD, lemon juice should be okay, but you could get away with just using like just the olive oil itself with the fresh herbs.
And the mustard.
Exactly. So that is that.
So another thing I wanted to mention with lemon, the benefits of lemon, if you have gout or if you have a flare-up of gout, lemon and water. So water with lemon juice is actually the best thing. And this type of food is with no meat and all vegetables. It actually really, really helps against, to alleviate the gout symptoms.
Perfect.
And I also realized when we chopped our garlic, we added the garlic directly to the salad. You were actually supposed to wait and add it to your salad dressing, but that's okay. I think Sandra did it the right way. So, I'm kind of cooking off the cuff if you haven't noticed. So either way though, doesn't matter. If you wanted to add some salt and pepper at this point, that's probably what I would do. So I am going to go ahead and do that. So if someone can hand me a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. You really don't need a lot because the actual acid in the lemon provides a sodium flavoring. So I'm literally going to just do 1 crack. And then if we have pepper, we can do that.
And if anyone's feeling congested, allergies, this might be an old Sicilian
Thank you.
trick that I learned in my family, but incorporating garlic into your meals. Some people take it to the extreme of putting in their water. I don't recommend that, but it can help to open up your sinuses to really get that gook out.
Yeah. So this recipe called for 2 lemons. I'm only going to use 1. So you guys got the gist of that. Now, all we're going to do is just pour it over our salad like so.
Oh, beautiful. How much colors? Eat the rainbow.
Eat the rainbow is literally
Is there
being
a rainbow?
honored right here. What'd
Is
you
there an herb, fresh herb in this?
Oh, parsley.
Yes, parsley is in this. You could use dill, you could use mint, you could use basil.
For all of them.
Yeah,
And another thing, what we do, in Greece in the winter, we don't have most of the fresh
right?
herbs, but feel free to use and try to experiment with different herbs. You can use oregano a little bit, or you can use mint, and or dried basil. So this is that's why we give you these recipes, because based on your taste and to your liking, you can mix and match and use any other ingredients there.
yeah. And I forgot about the key ingredient of all of this, which is the quinoa. So I'm just gonna kind of throw this in. And again, you could add your dressing after you add the quinoa or before. If you find that like you've let it sit and marinate and it's a little dry, you can always add more olive oil or lemon juice as a garnish. So I'm just gonna kind of clear this out, give this to my sous chef here. And now I'm gonna really give it a nice toss. And again, it's all gonna come together. You've got the quinoa, which has a full amino acid profile. The chickpeas have protein and fiber, all these vegetables.
What's really great about this recipe though, for those of us who travel for work and don't have a heat source, this is a great salad to bring. That's not just, your classic salad, but something that is refreshing in the summer months that you don't need to go finding a microwave for, that you can prep from home to optimize, and prevent dining out and, meal prepping, of course.
Yep. And if you want to give it a taste and see if it needs extra seasoning, like I'd prefer you not to add extra salt and pepper, but if you have to, now would be a great time. And again, let it sit for a little while and then we can see. So we'll give it a little taste.
Always taste your food before serving.
I think it tastes good.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it. We're going to eat this later. So we'll see. So this is what it should look like. Everyone's good. I'm giving it to my sous chef here. And now we're honestly on to the last dish,
Salmon,
which is our salmon.
or as some like to say, salmon.
Salmon. And what's great about the timing of all of this is that the quinoa recipe does say it should sit for about 10 minutes. So honestly, the dish for the salmon is very quick. So it should be all ready at the same time. But if you're not eating until later, you can make your dressing for the salmon ahead of time and then wait to cook it. So just letting you know that is what's happening. So the next step is our salmon. So we have olive oil that's needed for the salmon. I believe the recipe called for 1/3 cup of olive oil. That's a lot. So we might decrease it. We actually made this ahead of time already. Do we have a?
Do you want to look at it?
Yeah, I think we should show them what it looks like.
Yes. And we got a little excited because the three of us like salmon a lot.
But you can
So-
see
so
this is what the
basically,
final product looks
This is what
like.
it looks like.
Yum.
And so there's a lot of juice and a lot of it is olive oil. There's no water in it because the fish kind of gives out its own water. But there's mustard basically and olive oil. And it's up to you to really reduce or increase olive oil or mustard the way you like it. And again, you can put a lot of different other herbs up there as you like. So we added a little bit, it's not in the recipe, we added a little bit lemon pepper. The mixed with a yellow cap, right? And you can do that
Mrs.
too.
Dash.
Well, Mrs. Dash, yes, that's what we did. So it's gonna look like this when we take it out
And
the
the
second time around.
And one of the reasons why we like Mrs. Dash a bunch is that Mrs. Dash, what makes them unique is, of course, table salt is sodium chloride, right? So what they do is they take out the sodium and then they replace it with potassium and make potassium chloride. So those two have to wash the potassium intake just to be really.
So and another thing I do also with the chicken is sometimes I toss in cloves of garlic, and you don't even have to peel them. You just toss them there and then they will cook together with the fish or the chicken. And then if you like garlic and if you like roasted garlic, then you can take that and then put it on your bread and like a butter. So instead of putting butter, of course you have the olive oil, but you can also have the cooked garlic. So you can do a lot of things with these recipes.
Yeah,
Very versatile.
it's awesome. So the next few steps are very quick. So I'm just gonna kind of breeze through them. But again, if you're making salmon at home, get your salmon, put it into a dish like this. If you don't have like a Pyrex dish, A baking dish is fine. I would say maybe line it with some parchment paper or aluminum foil, just because it does get, as you can see, really saucy. But this, if you have one at home, I actually just put one on my wedding registry because I think it's awesome. So I already used one for the yogurt, but we're gonna use another one for the salmon. If you're making chicken at home, take your chicken out. So the first step is to season our fish or our chicken. So we're gonna take, again, a little bit of this Mediterranean sea salt, pink Himalayan salt. Sea salt is great. I just took a cooking class a couple weeks ago and the chef said, do not use iodized salt because it's the same type of salt that they use to ice, put down when the roads are icy. So if it can do that to your, roads, imagine what it's doing to your stomach. So try and use more of a natural sort of salt. I'm not the salt expert. There's a lot online about the different benefits of the different salts, but give it just a couple cracks like this, nothing too crazy. Seafood in general, like especially crustaceans, like shrimp, they're already naturally a little salty. So you don't need to use a lot. If you want to, at this point, you can kind of like rub it in. I'm not going to, but you could. If you want to use gloves at home, if you're not super comfortable touching your fish with raw hands, you can do that. The next step is going to be to add some paprika. Paprika adds like a nice smoky flavor. There's sweet paprika, there's Spanish paprika, there's all different kinds. You can use whatever you have at home. This recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of paprika. So I'm just going to take my measuring spoon, and honestly, you really don't have to measure it out, but if you want to, you can. So usually they have like a slot for spoons. So you kind of just like stick your spoon in there and get what you can. And then, because sometimes if you go directly, like I've been guilty of this, if this is too loose, you can, if you're going to sprinkle it, this side could come out and you've now just dumped a whole bottle of chili powder. We've all been there. We put like red chili powder all over our food and it's ruined. So you can kind of just sprinkle it very carefully. I might even just like put it into my hand and kind of just like sprinkle it a little bit like that. And then again, this is probably the stage where you would want to rub it in. This is going to be more of a spicy one. I kind of left like half. Oh, it's sweet. If you were using regular paprika, it would have more of a kick. So I'm going to kind of just rub it and then I'm going to wash my hands.
And if you notice that if you're noticing this paprika and in general paprika is on the redder side, right? So you might start to notice different correlations with different colors, as red typically indicates that it's going to be high in vitamin A, which is indeed what paprika is, as 1 tablespoon of paprika contributes to 20% of your daily needs for vitamin A. So that's just to go and highlight how nutrient dense a small amount of these fresh herbs are.
You're getting your multivitamins from your food rather than a supplement. It's
Yes.
pretty cool. You're literally eating nutrients.
And you absorb it better when it's from food versus from a supplement.
Yep. So we did that. If you had chicken, same thing. The next step is to make our dressing. So we're going to put about 1/4 to 1 cup of olive oil into a measuring, bowl. And then I really like this shake jar method. If you're making salad dressings, you take a simple mason jar, anything you have left over. If you have a jar that you had something, clean it out. And we're going to pour that into here like so.
Can I make a note? I think we can use a little bit more of olive oil. Here.
Okay. So when we made this earlier, we did a 1/3 cup and we felt like it was too much.
Well,
so
because we use
your
3
judgment.
pieces,
Right.
too.
So we're going to add a little bit more to ours because we love our olive oil. So we're going to put it in here like this. And you could put the Dijon in first if that's easier, whatever you want to do. But I'm just doing the olive oil first since I saw it first. Next step would be to take the Dijon. This recipe calls for 4 tablespoons. We're using Grey Poupon, Old Faithful. Really, you can find it anywhere. And we're going to just take our measuring spoons like so and just plop it in. 1. We really love mustard here. Mustard is a great low sodium, low sugar condiment, as opposed to ketchup, which has about almost 5 grams of sugar per tablespoon, for 2 tablespoons, I believe. So it can add up really quickly.
And this is also going to be much more nutrient dense than like your French's mustard.
Right, like a more whole grain mustard is good. So that is in, and I'm going to then take what else? Lemon juice. So again, lemons, Old Faithful. If you don't have lemons at home like this, you can always just buy a jar, like the little lemon guy, you know, the bottle that with the green top. That's what I use at home. But we have our lemons, so we're gonna chop it. And I think this recipe doesn't call for zesting actually, but we will zest it at the end. But you could zest it before at the end. We'll show you what that means in a second. So again, I rolled my lemon so that it's nice and loose. We're gonna use the biggest one. I'm taking it like so I can get a lot of the juice out. And I don't know if my camera can see me.
And remember, cooking is an art. Baking is a science.
Oh, someone's calling me. Hang on. Sorry. There we go.
There we go.
We're back.
So remember, cooking is an art, baking is a science. So what I mean by that, if there's little tweaks that you want to make for your palate or what you have access to in the home, do that. It's good to experiment, and you'll become more and more comfortable and knowledgeable with cooking in the form of the art when you do it more often.
Yep. And these recipes, like we said, they're pretty much foolproof in terms of like, if you forget an ingredient or like me, you put the garlic in at a different time, like that's fine. It's all about what works for you and what's fun. And we just want you to start cooking more. This week was all about dining out and how to make healthy choices. We have to be realistic, but the more you can cook at home for yourself, you're going to save money, you're going to save calories, and you're going to promote a more healthier eating lifestyle. So
you teach, and if you have children, you're teaching them because they're watching you. They may not be active with you in the kitchen, which we encourage, try to get them into the kitchen with you. But the fact that they're watching you, that's normalizing the act of cooking for them so that when they get older, they don't think it's normal just to buy out every night.
Right.
The reason why we chose salmon is an omega-3 fat. You want to aim to get your omega-3s from marine-based sources. Some of us, fish just isn't our thing, and that's okay. So what we want to try to do is have omega-3s either in the form of plants or from a supplement. So other forms that are non-marine based omega-3s are like your chia seeds, your ground flax seeds, but your fatty fish like tuna and salmon, you want to try to aim to have about 2 to 3 times a week. Don't really need to go above that 3 times a week. We do want to be conscious of mercury, but there's so many other great proteins to go incorporating during your week that fish shouldn't be the only thing that you're having.
Right. So I put all of my salad dressing ingredients into my shaker, and I'm just going to give it a nice shake. Again, that's why the lid is great. What's awesome about this is, let's say you're only cooking for 1 or 2 and you don't need all of this dressing for this specific dish. You could save this and use this as a salad dressing tomorrow for something else. So you could have it on a salad. You could have it as like a dipping sauce. If you wanted to make chicken another night, it's very versatile. And that's another reason why we want to promote like making your own salad dressing, because a lot of the brand salad dressings have a lot of those anti-inflammatory oils. Someone's calling me again. It's the same person. What is you must really want something. Okay.
And we're making salmon, but if salmon just isn't your cup of tea, like I was saying, it's fine.
Chicken.
You could do this recipe with chicken.
Or basically, if salmon is not your preferred fish, you can use sole or strip bass or any other fish, and you can use the same sauce. And sometimes I actually dill goes really well with salmon. So at the end, we're gonna use parsley here, but because parsley, people love to cook with parsley, you can buy it and make it with pasta dishes and things. But dill goes really well with salmon. So you might wanna, if you like dill, you add dill on top.
So I like to just take my spoon and kind of just like make sure this is all really coated nicely. You can see like this fillet didn't get as much love as the others did. So you can kind of just like take it and like turn it almost so that it's all marinated really well and evenly. And again, doesn't have to be perfect. You do want your salmon slices, fillets to be kind of the same thickness, because they're going to cook at different times. If one salmon's super thick and the other one is not, and you're going to have an uneven temperature. So
and that premise though is so important though, because that also applies for your vegetables too, like anything.
Yeah, potatoes, sometimes your potatoes are burnt and then other times they're like not cooked enough. So even cooking and chopping sizes is key. When
Plus the mouthfeel on your fork.
right,
You want to use these?
no, I think we're good. If you wanted to, you could use like a brush to kind of brush it. When I make my salmon, I like to use like I'll brush it with olive oil or avocado oil and then pan sear it. So that's where like the brush could come into play. But this looks really good. You wouldn't want to add your fresh herbs yet because this is going in the oven. But once it's in the oven and it comes out, that's when we can fresh top with the fresh dill, the fresh parsley, whatever it is.
Or if you don't like mustard, like just throwing that out there too. Tzatziki sauce, that's a probiotic just with the Greek yogurt. And then that's how you can also incorporate that dill.
Right. You wouldn't want to
Don't
use
cook it
the tzatziki sauce in
Yeah.
replace of the mustard, but on
No.
the side as
Yeah.
a garnish for sure. So all we're going to do now is we're going to take some aluminum foil and we're going to just put this baby to sleep in the oven. We're going to tuck her in. This is a lot of
Let's tell
aluminum
them about
foil.
the,
And the cooking, the cooking times, it's a little loud with the aluminum foil. So let me just do this and then we'll talk about the cooking time. And you can keep it a little loose so it vents, but overall this should be good, just like so. So I'm gonna put this in the oven and Dr. Arkin's gonna talk about the cooking time.
Yeah, so this is a 375. So we have a preheated oven at 375. So you're gonna put in there. And one thing I want to tell you about the cooking time in the recipe, we said 9 minutes. 9 minutes is when you have a convection oven. And this is how I make it, and that's a convection oven. But then we wanted to try to see, this is a regular oven. So if you have a regular oven, we tried that before, and it takes longer. So we tried 10 minutes, it wasn't very well cooked, and then 15, it wasn't really done thoroughly. So then we increased it to 20. So what we're gonna do today is right now is set it up at 15 minutes, and then we'll try and we'll look at it and see if it's cooked thoroughly. If not, we're gonna add. So you basically measure or count about 20 minutes total if you have a regular oven.
So we set the timer. This is a great time, like while your dish is cooking, and let's say if you were making this at home, to clean up your space, because it is nice, like once you eat your dinner, that your dishes are kind of like either in the sink or put away. So I'm putting away my paprika, I'm cleaning up the kitchen. I like to put things away as I'm done with them, but it's not always perfect. So this is a great time, like your salad's marinating. If you're not, maybe you could do the salad as an appetizer. Let's say you're really hungry and then move on to the salmon. The salmon would be great with like a side salad even. You could preserve a little bit of the dressing with some fresh greens. And now you've got your nice balanced My Plate, right? Because the quinoa salad is this more starch, right? And then the salmon is the protein, and then you've got your fresh vegetables. So that is really, I just got selfie. That's really, honestly, everything. Sandra says, I have a convection oven. So shall I check in 9 minutes? The convection is hard to guesstimate times. Yeah. So if you have a convection oven, right, that's what this one is up here. Let's check in 9 minutes and see how it is. You always want it to be either undercooked, and you can always check it, versus overcooked. The same thing goes with salt, right? You can always add more, you can't take away. So always measure out, always better to check earlier and be on the safe side than to overcook something and now you're left with burnt or overcooked salmon and you're not happy. But guys, I think that is
so we can
our
plate
demo.
now.
We can plate everything so we can show you what
How
it
about
looks
if we
like.
clean this a little bit and
we'll-
put them just aside so we don't have to wash them right now, but I think we should plate and try our food,
Yeah.
and especially the one that we cooked actually.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm excited.
And
And guys, share pictures of your plates with us.
Yes.
Tell us
You
about,
make it at home.
who says what at home and what things you find and learn, of course, through the course of the process of making these dishes.
So we have our quinoa salad. Oops, sorry. So we're gonna plate that onto our dish. And then we're gonna add our salmon and then garnish with the fresh parsley. So if I was making this for myself, I do want to kind of keep that My Plate in mind. The vegetables are incorporated into the starch portion, right? The quinoa and the beans are more of the starch, but that's okay. I always like to try and get out the bright colors too. If I was to put this, take a picture of it. So we have this, we have our salmon, perfect. And we're just going to take, do we want to do all three or how do we
No,
want
you
to, just one?
You just do two, this one and this one. So I'll give
Okay.
you three forks. And then we can try.
Yeah,
We can all share the same plate, right? On each
Yeah,
side.
that's
Yeah.
fine. Oh, my salmon's kind of falling apart. That's okay. Like
So
so.
basically, this is what it looks like. The salmon looks like when, and then I can give you some a spoon so you can put a little bit of.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, you do want to juice, you know, always reserve a little bit. We've got our
So-
nice, beautiful dressing. How gorgeous.
All this presentation is actually really good.
Presentation.
Sorry,
Even if
guys.
you have dinner by yourself. because
Inception
it helps you with your appetite and it's
And
food,
it's-
We
it's
eat with our
pleasure.
eyes.
Food is art and food is art that actually we eat. And
Right.
that's the best thing. So,
And there's a pride in like making something for yourself, for none other than you want to eat a healthy dish and it tastes good and you're creating a beautiful plate. So we're going to kind of like,
And cooking
Turn our
healthy for
plate up
yourself
here.
is a form of self-care.
right,
So sometimes you need a little self-care.
so there we go. We can all dig in.
yep. So you guys go
Yeah,
first, I'll go
You
after.
too. It's all
No,
good.
you can all dig in.
All good
Okay.
together.
I'll try this.
And then you tell me how the recipe.
Yeah, I'll
is.
be
It's not
honest.
great.
So it's so flaky. So one thing with the salmon is when to tell it's cooked, it should still be flaky.
Oh my God, it's so tender.
I'm excited for you guys at home to
It's
try this.
actually very, quite lemony
Very
because there's lemon, of course, and mustard has a lemon flavor, taste, and the olive oil, and then the softness of the salmon, it is gorgeous.
Yep.
It is so,
That's good.
And you took a
it melts,
picture, right?
it melts
Yeah,
in
so
your
much.
mouth. And then let's try a little bit the, on the other side,
Quinoa salad.
the quinoa salad.
And you
that
can kind of
made.
mix in the dressing too from
Yeah.
like the salmon onto the quinoa
Mhm.
salad.
Oh boy, this is so
It's a good
fresh,
crunch.
right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's crunchy, it's fresh, and it has a lot of flavors all blend together.
Mhm.
And the quinoa along with the chickpeas, it actually gives it another layer of texture.
Yeah,
Yes.
the texture.
And
So,
that texture
yeah.
slows us down when we're eating too. Like all that
Mhm.
extra fiber, it gives us more time to chew and really taste and enjoy our food, those five senses. And checking in, because sometimes we'll be watching TV or whatnot. Focus on the flavors of your dish and enjoyment of your dish. And that will help with also portion sizing as well.
yeah, so when I make chicken, I make it exactly the same way. But chicken, because it has a stronger flavor, you can add some other herbs. It goes really well with oregano and a little bit of mint. So don't be afraid to add things and do not be afraid to consume olive oil.
Yep.
Seriously, and you can make it the only oil or fat of choice, and that will be safe.
Mhm.
So I hope you enjoyed today.
Yes.
And now we're gonna take out maybe our dessert or.
Yeah, we can kind of see how our dessert's
Yeah.
doing. It
Maybe
does
flatten
take
out.
around 4 hours to freeze, but we can kind of check in just to see how it looks. So we have it in our freezer here.
And hey, listen, if you're making a sweet swap and this was like a last minute decision to make it and you want to have a little bit in a bowl or like you portion it
True.
and do a little
Don't
in
have
like
to
one of
be.
these guys, hey, enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
fun.
So we can see. Stuck.
That's it.
Yeah, just rip it
You
off.
just hold it so it doesn't.
No, yeah, other way. Just pull.
Come on, I can use my man hands.
Ooh,
That's
three
it.
people open
That's
the
it.
lid.
There we go.
All right.
So we can see how beautiful it looks. So if you were to take this out, normally I would say we would want a little bit more parchment paper on both sides. It's not quite ready yet because you can see, you can't see it. Can someone help me here?
Yeah, what are you looking for? What are you trying to do?
I just want it to be in camera. So we can see this is still a little bit loose.
Yeah, it is very soft. You
It's
see
still
that?
soft, so it's not ready yet, but I'm gonna come back to this in about an hour. And then all I would do is take my knife and just kind of chop it. Or honestly, if it freezes solid, you can take it out and just kind of break it, just like bark. And I'm really looking forward to this as my sweet swap dessert tonight. So, guys, if you're watching this at home, feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all about anything. For those who attended live today, we really appreciate you. Like I said, you're going to be receiving a small gift of a potato peeler, but you will also be getting possibly an air fryer.
Ding, ding,
We're
ding.
going to put you in a raffle. So honestly, it's a 50-50 shot because 2 of you attended live. So we'll keep you posted. And then at your your next visit with Amanda, we'll give you your prize. So we'll be in touch. But again, thank you guys. I want to say thank you to Dr. Arkan,
Thank you,
Krista,
everybody.
and Amanda.
Thanks for
I
coming,
want to thank
guys.
everyone in the team and all of you actually for
Yeah.
participating.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that this will be the moment where you can, change your life altogether as far as eating and being more physically active. So we want to hear from you. Of course, we have a long way to go. And so we will be talking with you more and more. So thank you all for watching it and participating.
Yes. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Enjoy your meals. Cheers.
Yes. Have